Hello and welcome back to the channel, and we are back with the final Hogwarts Legacy analysis video, but don't worry, there will be some more videos based around Hogwarts Legacy coming out soon. I will also be releasing another video today, and that will be the full Hogwarts Legacy trailer breakdown and all of the analysis videos linked into one long video for anybody who is interested in that. So if you haven't watched any of these videos, it might be worth going back and watching that one instead, as it covers it all in one go. This video will be about the characters and also the storylines that we see. We'll obviously be breaking it down into two separate sections for it. There is a bit more speculation in this video than there is in my other videos because I will be guessing to who some of the characters are, but all of my speculation is based around facts that we do actually get to see and know through this game. If you like these breakdowns, please consider liking the video and subscribing, and also get involved in the comment section. I do reply to everyone. Also, please consider watching any of the previous videos about Hogwarts Legacy breakdowns, and also my Fantastic Beasts trailer breakdowns. I will link them all in the description below. But without any further ado, let's get into this breakdown. So the first group of people we're going to be looking into in regards to the characters is going to be the teachers. Now, we have had a few leaked names for this game, and I will get to them as we move through who the teachers are. And the first teacher we're going to cover, I believe, is going to be one of the leaked names. So let's start off with the lessons that we definitely know we attend, and that is going to start off with herbology, and that is this teacher here. In my initial trailer I mentioned the fact that she had red hair, and I wondered if she had any hand-me-down robes, so possibly she could be related to the Weasleys or the Pruitt family. However, we have been given a leaked name, and that is Helen Thistlewood, and we know that in the Harry Potter universe they do like to give people names that relate to something about them in their story, such as Remus Lupin or Sirius Black. So Helen Thistlewood being the teacher of herbology does match very much. We don't get much more information about her, however she is wearing green and yellow, which obviously link to two different houses, so potentially she could be linked to Hufflepuff or linked to Slytherin house itself. I think it's more likely going to be Hufflepuff because we do have another character later on that is very highly linked to Slytherin. The next teacher that we take a look at is going to be the Charms teacher, and unfortunately I do not know the name of this character. He is wearing purple robes, and the only other character we know to wear robes of this style is actually Gilderoy Lockhart, so potentially he is going to be linked to Ravenclaw. I really like the look of this character. He is very charismatic and it seems like a very good teacher, and I would enjoy being in his lessons. A lot of people have mentioned these squiggles on his top, potentially relating to a snake, so he could be linked to Slytherin. However, I believe they are just designs, as I do not see a snake head on them. We also get a look at this teacher here. She's clearly teaching in the Defense Against the Dark Arts class, as she is in the Defense Against Dark Arts classroom that we see from the movies. However, we do not get much more information about her. She is wearing a blue robe, so possibly a link to Ravenclaw. And one teacher we get returning from the Harry Potter series is obviously the History and Magic teacher, Professor Binns. He died one day during school and got up as a ghost and just continued teaching, so it's good to know that this was before when this game is set. And the next teacher we're going to look at is actually the Potions teacher, and there's been a lot of speculation that I've seen online as to who this is. I mentioned that he reminded me of Mad-Eye Moody, and that was probably the Limp that did that. There's also some speculation that he looks like he could be a member of the Black family. However, I believe he is going to be another teacher that we know taught at Hogwarts and also went on to be a head teacher. And I think that he is going to potentially be Brutus Scrimgeour, and he is related obviously to Rufus Scrimgeour that we know from the Harry Potter series. The things that we do know about Brutus is that he was a very prolific Quidditch fan, and he also was a teacher at Hogwarts and served as headmaster of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry at some point, but we do not know the date that this happened. However, I think if this is him, we can actually plot out the head teachers from this game all the way up into modern day. But before we do that, we will cover one more teacher that we do get a clip of in the gameplay, and that is the Flying teacher. Unfortunately, we do not get a lot of information about her other than this scene. She does not have any specific things on her robes to suggest what house she relates to, but she will be involved in teaching us flying and hopefully Quidditch in the game. So now we're going to look in the Great Hall, and we actually see 3 more teachers in this scene, and I think we can deduce who all of them are going to be. So I want to start with this teacher, and this is the teacher that we saw in the first trailer during the sorting ceremony, putting the hat on our head. Now, I believe this person is going to be Phineas Nigellus Black, and I believe that for two reasons. In the Harry Potter series, when Harry looks at the portrait of him in the head teacher's office, he's described with black hair, dark eyes, a pointed beard, and thin eyebrows. He is depicted in the portrait wearing the green and silver colours associated with the Slytherin house. I think that he teaches Transfiguration because that is one of the only classes that we don't have confirmed for, and I think he's going to be teaching one of the bigger classes. We also know that at some point he does take on the role of headmaster, so the second reason I believe this is going to be him is because he is fulfilling the role that McGonagall did in the movies. Now that leads the question if he is in the role of deputy head, who is actually going to be the head teacher. And I believe it is going to be this teacher here who is placing the hat onto our character's head. It is widely speculated that the teacher that Phineas precedes as head was Euphraxia Mole. Unfortunately, we don't have a physical description of her, but we do know that she was in place as the head in 1876, which could lead perfectly to this time frame. If that's the case, then potentially we do know one other character that might be in this game, and that is the caretaker Chorus Carp. In 1876, Carp devised an elaborate trap to remove Peeves the poltergeist from the castle. It failed and ended up with Peeves firing weapons randomly at students and threatening them with death. It was the head teacher Mould who then stopped Peeves from doing this, and it made him sign a contract that included giving him a new hat so that he would surrender the weapons. As you can see in this scene of Peeves, he seems to be supporting a very nice new hat. So potentially that means that the head teacher we see in this story is going to be Euphraxia Mole, with Phineas Nigellus Black as her deputy. So that means that if Mole is currently the teacher with Phineas as her deputy, we know that at some point he does take over and become head, potentially during the story that we get to live in this game. He then dies in 1925, which would then perfectly lead up to the potions teacher Brutus Scrimgeour taking over from him then and serving as headmaster until the 1940s, which is when Armando Dippet takes over prior to Dumbledore. If this is the case, we know that Phineas was hated by most of the students, and there is a prospect of Phineas being the head teacher with this character here, Scrimgeour, being his deputy, and it does not sound like a fun time to be at Hogwarts. Finally, we do get to see one more teacher at the head table in the Great Hall, and I'm certain I know who this is. And this is another leaked name that we got. If you look at this character's clothing, it looks similar to one teacher we know from the time that Harry was at school. And this is because I believe the teacher teaches the same lesson and is also the great-great-grandmother of the teacher that taught Harry. This, I believe, is going to be Cassandra Mason, who will later go on to marry someone by the name of Trelawney. The reason why Trelawney got the job during Harry's time is because she was the ancestor of the celebrated seer Cassandra Trelawney. So maybe while we're at school, this legendary seer will help us through our journey by seeing what is ahead. And the last teacher that we know through this story is Professor Fig. We don't get told exactly what lesson he teaches, but I do believe I know which lesson it could be. I believe it's going to be Ancient Rune. We see him with our character a lot through some of the tomb explorations, and I think that him knowing ancient runes very well would benefit our character and help him understand his ancient magic. It is possible that he may be linked to our character in some other way, as he seems to be with him in Diagon Alley and also on his way to school, so he could be some sort of family member. But again, we do see Hagrid do this for Harry, so potentially it is just a case that he has been allocated the job. We do obviously not see a few teachers. One of the main ones is obviously the Care of Magical Creatures teacher, but hopefully we'll find that out in later trailers. Moving on to other characters then, let's have a look at our companions. The first one we'll have a look at is Natsai Onai. She is a Gryffindor and she is fighting injustice that she sees. So potentially this is the injustice to do with the Goblin Rebellion, and she believes that goblins should be allowed the same rights as wizards and also be given wands. So this could be a story arc if you are friends with her that you actually support the rebellion, and if you are friends with another character you go against the rebellion. Be an interesting take on this sort of game. The second companion we see is Poppy Sweeting. She is a Hufflepuff and she is very much into animals and reminds me so much of Newt. However, unfortunately we do not get much more detail about her other than this. And the third companion, who for me is the most interesting, is going to be Sebastian Sallow. He is a very charismatic Slytherin and he has about as much interest in the rules as Harry and Ron did during their time at the school. We also know that his family potentially have a blood curse. This character here, I believe, is who the curse is based around, and this is possibly his sister, but I'm not sure on that. And I think this character is like to be a maledictus and have a blood curse, very similar to the character that we see of Nagini in the Fantastic Beasts movies. We know that he's trying to give her Shrivel Fig, and this is mainly used in the shrinking potion that we see in the Harry Potter books. And this made Trevor go back to a tadpole form, which would then make sense why he's trying to give it to his maledictus sister to try and return her back to her human form. Obviously, I don't think this is likely to work, as this character here, potentially his father, tells him. Now, we do actually know of one other maledictus who has a blood curse in the Harry Potter stories, and that is Astoria Greengrass, who goes on to marry Draco Malfoy, and she later dies of the blood curse. So it is possible that this female character here is related to the Greengrass family and carries that blood curse through to her ancestors, so potentially she does go on to marry a Greengrass. So outside of Hogwarts, we do get two main characters, and we will start off with this dark wizard that we see here. He is the leader of his cult of dark wizards, and we've been given the name of Victor Rookwood. So he is possibly related to Augustus Rookwood, who later becomes a Death Eater. Unfortunately, we do not have much more details around him. And then finally, we will take a look at Ranrock, who is the leader of this Goblin Rebellion. He hates wizards in every sense, even though he does team up with them, but he is also very skilled in goblin magic to the point that he can contend with wand-wielding wizards and witches in magical confrontation. At this time, that is all that we know about his character. So now let's take a look at the storylines that run through this game. And the main storyline is going to obviously be based around these Goblin Rebellions. Goblin Rebellions are taught in History of Magic and happen quite a lot throughout history. We know that other than this one, there have been ones in the 18th century, in 1752 and in 1612. The 1612 one was also based in the Hogwarts area, as the Hog's Head and the Three Broomsticks were headquarters for the wizards. Normally these are based around the fact that goblins want to have wands, but possibly Ranrock has seen the ancient magic that our character wields, so potentially he now wants to access that magic instead. The second main storyline is obviously going to be based around this magic and you trying to decipher why you have it and how you've got it and where it comes from, and this is going to be some of the stories that you're going to be embarked on, I think, with Professor Fig. And the other main thing that we want to be doing in this game is learning and just taking in Hogwarts life. Obviously, this is what I'm going to be spending most of my time doing and ignoring the other main storylines completely. And some side storylines that we do know about is the Merlin Secrets, and this is possibly linked to the Chamber of Mysteries. I believe it's going to be a side quest that you can follow, find secrets about, and potentially unlock some clothing or some form of magical artifact as you go on. And the final storyline mark is also these corrupted animals. Now, it is unknown at this time if this is a completely separate side story or if this is going to be linked to your mysterious magic, or perhaps the fact that the goblins are corrupting these creatures in their attempts to fight the wizards. In the Q&A section of the Hogwarts Legacy website, they state these three following statements about the storyline. It is set in the 1800s wizarding world. The story has players experience life as a student at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry like never before, as they live the unwritten and embark on a dangerous journey to uncover the hidden truth of the wizarding world. They also say players will experience life as a student at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry in the 1800s as they embark on a dangerous journey to uncover a hidden truth of the wizarding world. And finally, they say the wizarding world is fraught with dangers, including creatures corrupted by a magical force, sinister witches and wizards, as well as a possible mountain goblin rebellion. Unfortunately, we do not have a lot of information about exactly how the story is going to play out and why our character is late to school. I believe potentially his family were homeschooling him and he was looking into some sort of ancient magic. Maybe his parents worked for Gringotts and were curse breakers, and this is how he's come across the ancient magic and why Ranrock would know who he is. His parents have potentially died, meaning he now needs to attend Hogwarts, and he is now attending Hogwarts at the height of this new rebellion led by Ranrock about chasing him down for his magical power, and he has to understand the power that he now wields. That is pure speculation, but that is my theory about what this game is going to be about. So there you have it. That is my final analysis of this game, about the characters and about the storyline. Let me know what you thought of all of my theories down below, and let me know if I've missed anything at all. Thank you so much for all the support that you give me on these videos. It really does blow my mind, and I cannot thank you guys enough. Again, thank you so much for the growth of this channel. It took us a year to get to 1,000. Within the last few weeks we are already on 1,600, so thank you so much. But that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. But until then, mischief managed.